Welcome back! I'm one of the developers working on Dwarf. It's a 2D tower defense dungeon crawler RPG. It's a cool mashup of genres, and I'd really appreciate it if you wished it on Steam. So there's this cool crystal cave biome I'm working on in Dwarf, and we need a gem pickaxe. If you search pixel pickaxe, the Minecraft pickaxe just dominates, dude. But you know which pickaxes I like? The Terraria pickaxes. Man, just looking at some of these is like nostalgic to me. So the first thing I'm going to do is kind of just get like a silhouette of what it is that I want to draw, right? So a pickaxe would probably have a shape like this. And then we're going to go ahead and tweak this later. Hold on, let me use the line tool here. And I think that something like this should be pretty good. I'm going to make it 3 pixels wide so that way we can at least give it an outline, you know? So I might as well give it an outline right now. There we go. That handle's too thick, so if we're using this tiny space, this is all we really have to work with, and that's part of the challenge. Part of the challenge is just going to be making things look like what you want within such a tiny little space. I want this handle to kind of look round, so what I'm going to do later on is make this top part actually look a little bit lighter. I think that this color is way too light, so I'm going to turn contiguous off, and now we can make it darker all around. And now I'm going to go to about 50% opacity and put it on the outline there. And now if I drag this across here, you see it kind of looks like it has a little bit of lighting if we look at it here.
Oh yeah.
I like that the bottom part of it is darker. So next, this whole section is going to be probably a gem. I could make it look like it's made of metal, but I think it'd be cool if this pickaxe was an actual gem. The handle here is kind of long. I'll shorten it. I don't think it needs to be that long just because we're putting it in a 16 by 16, you know. And since I did shorten it, that also gives me more room to actually add to it and have it still be in that 16 by 16 grid space, which is the grid size for Dwarf. I think I'm gonna go with a purple gem in this case, but I want it to look like the gem is secured by something. So what I'm thinking is I'm gonna make it look like there's a metal brace here, or whatever you would call it, that is holding it in place. And I want to give this shading so it really looks like it's around that piece, if you know what I mean. Okay, so now I'm going to start putting in an outline here too. The reason why I'm putting in an outline in here kind of right away is if I'm working in such a tight space, the outline really becomes part of the art. So it's important to incorporate it somehow. I'm not going to put an outline here. Actually, I might. I use outlines to separate objects, and since these two are going to be different objects, I actually might just leave it there. I might lighten it later. By lighten it, I mean I might do something like this, you know, make it the color of the object, but I do like the high contrast there. Some pickaxes are exactly the same on both sides, but I kind of like the pickaxes that have one pointy side. Okay, so now let's mess with kind of the shape of this. I'm just going to look at the thumbnail and decide what I like. So we could make the pickaxe have quite a bit of a curve, something like this, you know, but I don't know if I like that. It starts looking a little bit too odd, in my opinion. Maybe we can sharpen it in a different way, like this. Now, but still, that curve is pretty intense. I don't think we need that. I think it's cooler if it has a pointy section that's kind of long instead of curvy. And let's go ahead and shade this as well. So I'm going to pick a darker color for the purple here, and I'm just going to shade the bottoms right here. I think that's pretty decent, maybe right there. But I also want to put highlights in this. And when I put the highlights in this, since this pickaxe is going to be made of a crystal or a gem or whatever, I'm going to go super bright in some parts of this and make it extremely reflective. Okay, so I'm also going to put a little reflection in this piece right there, just so it looks like it's and then I'm going to make this part darker. And now it makes that piece look kind of like it's bending. Makes it look like it sticks out. A good thing to do would probably be to shade right here as well, because that would have a little bit of cast a little bit of a shadow. And then I think that the handle is kind of boring. I want to make the handle a little bit more interesting. This video is sponsored by Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning community for creatives where millions come together to take the next step in their creative journey. Skillshare has professionals create courses for you to make sure that you excel at what they're teaching, and there are no ads. One of the courses that I really liked was Productivity Masterclass, and it's by Ali, and he goes over a lot of ways to stay productive. Skillshare is less than $10 a month with the annual subscription, and the first 1,000 people to use the link in my description will get a free trial of Skillshare Premium. So to make the handle more interesting, I think it might be kind of fun to add something that looks kind of like maybe a cloth that went around this part right here. So if I do something like this, it looks like there's a section that was a handle. You see that? And maybe it would look cool if it matched and it was purple, but we might have to go pretty dark for it to look more like a fabric. We don't want this to be reflective if it's fabric. But if I do something like this, the purple matches, which is going to be appealing, and it kind of does look like there's a piece of fabric there. But what I'm going to do here is turn the alpha down, and I'm going to, since the fabric wraps all the way around the object, I'm also going to tint these colors right here. I'm also going to tint the outline. That way, since I'm tinting the outline, it makes it look like the fabric actually wraps around and isn't on the inside. And the handle shape is still kind of boring, so maybe we could do something fun and have just a little gem, here. So that way the shape isn't as boring. I think something like let's see. Something like this looks pretty decent. If I really wanted this to look like a gem, I might make this entire outside purple. I'm going to use this dark purple right there just so that it makes it look like there's a gem right there, and maybe this part could be a little bit darker. At the total top of the handle here, I'm probably going to lighten this, and the reason is because it's the total top of the outline, so I don't think it needs to be that dark. This is looking pretty good. Oh, let me go ahead and add some lighting to the outline of this part as well. So maybe this color. And I'm just doing this near the top where the light source is. I'm going to leave the bottom of it black. And there we go. Now it looks like even the outline has a little bit of lighting in it. I'm going to make this tiny piece right here a little bit more reflective. And I pulled those two lines down just so that it emphasizes that there's something wrapped around here. You know what I mean? And maybe I need to make part of it a little bit lighter. Maybe something like that. Now it really looks like there's a fabric wrapped around the handle. It also makes it look a little bit more ancient, doesn't it? Check it out. If we wanted to make it look like this went over and not behind the handle, then boop, we would just get rid of the outline. And now it looks like this piece goes behind the handle, but this piece goes in front of the handle. Kind of cool, right? Especially if we lighten it right there, it's really going to make it obvious that that's in front and not behind. I don't know if I'll keep that in the end, but I'm pretty satisfied with how this came out. I'll see you guys next week. Dev Life!